I'll tell you who wants to bring Sharia law. The Canadian government wants to bring Sharia law. And this is not a joke. Why? Because Sharia law is simply the way Muslims do things. We practice Sharia law every time we go and pray. And we perform the ablution before praying. That's Sharia law. Every time we walk in the house and say, Assalamu alaikum, that's Sharia law. Every time we fast in the month of Ramadan, we pay our alms, we go for pilgrimage, it's all Sharia law. All of Islam is Sharia law. What every Muslim does is Sharia law. But I know what people are talking about. They're talking about certain sections of the penal code where a limb might be cut, a person might be flogged or striped for committing a certain act. So I'm here to tell you that those penal codes are not even implemented in most countries that say they have Sharia. And no Muslim has any intention of bringing that here. And what I said about the Canadian government wanted the Muslims to be able to regulate their own issues of marriage and divorce and set up systems of mediation and arbitration to solve their problems amongst themselves through Sharia law, so that it's not a burden on the court system, which is already so bogged down. The Canadian government wanted people like myself to sign off on custody cases where there was an allegation of parental abduction to verify that is the parent who has taken the child off to that country, are they Islamically authorized to do so or not? Because there are many Muslim countries that would need to see that from a Muslim scholar. That's what Sharia law means. And the government told us that we would like you to have this system and we would like to work on these initiatives with you. It's unfair that a scare is created over everything and anything to do with Islam.
Essentials of Islamic Family Life, a course textbook by Mufti Asim A. Rashid. Roles, duties, and obligations of the husband. Duty, caring for her deen, religion, and prompting her to fulfill her religious obligations. Duty, being protective of her honor and chastity. Details, make sure she observes hijab and Islamic dress whenever she leaves the house. Not allowing intermingling with non-mahrams, close family relatives. Roles, duties, and obligations of the wife. Duty, obeying him, the husband, in all permissible matters. Quote, the Holy Prophet Muhammad said, if I were to order anyone to prostrate to anyone other than Allah, I would command a wife to prostrate to her husband. End quote. Tirmidhi. Duty, to not leave her house even to visit her own family members without his permission. Quote, men are caretakers of women. As for women of whom you fear rebellion, convince them and leave them apart in beds and beat them lightly without causing injury. Quran 4:34. Duty, to fulfill his physical needs to the best of her ability. Details, a woman should not refuse intercourse with her husband without a valid reason. Quote, the Messenger of Allah, Muhammad, said, when a man calls his wife to his bed and she declines his invitation without a valid excuse, and as a result of this, the husband spends the night angry with her, the angels curse her until she wakes up in the morning. End quote. Bukhari. The book, Human Rights in Islam and Common Misconceptions, authored by Abdul Rahman al-Sheikha, was distributed for free at the Islamic booth at Dundas Square in Toronto. The following are excerpts from the book that deal with the Sharia Islamic law. Quote, the non-Muslim residents of an Islamic state are required to pay a minimal tax called jizya. As for the previously married male or female who commit adultery, the punishment applied to them is stoning to death. If the robber kills and seizes the money, the punishment may be killing and crucifixion. If he takes money and threatens but does not kill or assault, the punishment may be amputation of his hand and leg. If he kills the victim but does not take his money, he may be executed as in murder. Allah set the penalty of cutting the hand as a penalty for theft. Islamic Sharia decrees execution for the person who apostatizes after accepting Islam as a way of life and rejects Islamic beliefs and laws. Islam sets the punishment of flogging for public intoxication and traffickers. Public flogging is the prescribed punishment for false accusation of fornication or adultery. A wife is required to obey the commands and instructions of her husband as long as these do not involve any act of disobedience to Allah's command and the Prophet's instructions. She should not leave her husband's home without his prior knowledge and approval. Slavery, 2 exceptions as legitimate sources of slaves. 1. War captives, or prisoners of lawfully declared wars by a Muslim ruler. And 2. An inherited slave born from 2 slave parents.